Hello, this is Dustin DaHusky, and I'm back. And I cheated a bit. I decided to trim a bit of my front hair because you know what? As you can tell, the haircut has not happened, and this is October. And by the time you see this video, it probably might be December. Probably December. Yeah. So you're looking at me back in time. Yeah, so Hoosk has future plans. So as many as you probably can tell, I'm still living at home. That's because I've gone through school for 6.5 years, so I stayed home for that. Plus two, you really can't live on your own and go to school at the same time, so I knew moving out for me any time soon, at that point in time, just not practical. And then finally getting out of school. And the last 2 years since then, well, just been working, just kind of saving what money I could, and then buying a car, and then the last year has literally been me paying quadruple my car loan so I could pay my car not in 5 years, not in 3 years, but in 15 months. It's insane. Savings is kind of non-existent, but you know what? As soon as the car loan is done in December, you know what? Saving up the money is going to be so much easier once I'm not paying so much money. I'll be glad because that means, hey, my car's paid off, don't have to worry about a loan. I saw that a friend got their car repossessed by the bank. I don't know if they were late on payments. I don't know if the bank is hurting and they decided to start taking people's or started closing people's loans out and taking their cars, which means mortgages. Are they closing down, or are they kicking people out of the house? I don't know. That's scary times to be in, and really right now I'm just kind of glad that my car payment's paid off. I don't have to worry about payments for car for a long time. So what am I doing with myself? Well, I'm still looking for a newer job. Certainly not happy where I am working right now, but let's go to the meat and potatoes of this subject today. We're going to talk about the ideal house. Why am I going straight for a house? Why am I not renting? Well, number one, I don't care to rent. The idea of renting doesn't really excite me so much. So I grew up in Milwaukee. Not in the city, deep city Milwaukee, but in the outskirts of Milwaukee, where the houses are about, I would say, 6 to 10 feet apart. So you really are on top of each other, but you're not living in an apartment complex. But your yards are small, your house is small, and very much, yeah, you're living on a postage stamp. Which if you're, growing family, beginning like my family or mom and dad, for them it was perfect. Until they realize, even between the three of us, living in West Dallas gets a bit hard to breathe. But then again, too, it's got to do with Not so much breathing space, not so much property space. It's actually property taxes. The house I used to live in, when they sold the place in 97, went for $89,000 for a typical West Dallas bungalow. So you're looking at, actually I don't even know what the square footage of that house is. I should take a look at that up on Zillow and just to see, because it was an okay size house, but compared to what I'm living in now, it probably was a bit smaller. So probably 1,000 square foot at the most. It had a finished basement, had a finished attic, so it actually had more living space. Probably 1,200 square foot. And even that's pushing it. That you couldn't get any more out of that. Since it was West Dallas, my dad had the 67 Skylark, which we had the biggest car on the block. And that's 17 feet, and really 17 feet doesn't seem that long, but when everyone else was driving Dodge Omnis and Dodge Intrepids, and Ford Broncos, I guess it's pushing 17 feet for that one, but Skylar couldn't fit in the standard West Dallas garage. It was meant for compact cars only, so my dad got the only city-approved building permit for a full-size garage in very small, sleepy West Dallas, which I think where that house that we used to live in is still the only house in that whole area with a full-size 2-car garage, like literally meant for a full-size car, not compact. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. House has definitely changed a little bit, but, overall color is still the same. Trees have gotten bigger, but a bit small for the Hoosk family. But I mentioned before, property taxes in West Dallas are through the roof. If you live in a big city, so let's say, for example, the only two that kind of matter in the state of Wisconsin, Milwaukee and Madison. Actually, Madison's a bit worse for some reason. I don't understand why. But property taxes in these two cities are huge. And then, of course, there's Racine, Kenosha, Green Bay, Sheboygan, Manitowoc, Appleton, Eau Claire, La Crosse, Janesville, and these other secondary cities have, and Waukesha, you may as well, and Brookfield, just a lot of bigger cities that are reaching a little over 100,000 people, which in this state is secondary. For Milwaukee small house, you're looking at anywhere from 45 to about 7,500 in property taxes, somewhere in Milwaukee County, which is astronomical for where you live and the size of house you have for the value. Yeah, your house is certainly cheap at $89,000 when you sold it 97. You may have gotten it for 67 or 70,000, so a little bit of appreciation, but small postage stamp, and you're paying a lot of money on property taxes. It's astronomical. The house that my mom is in right now with the Hoosk inside it, 1/4 acre lot, about 25 to 30 foot between houses, 1,300 square foot house, not including finished basement. So I would say about maybe 2,000 square foot, just because of the additional living space that was converted. Yeah. 3,500 to move to a slightly different city, 10 minutes away, move outside the county of Milwaukee, And my folks paid $5,300 or $5,500 every year for property tax when we all lived in West Dallas, for a house that cost half as much. Yeah, actually a little under half. Wait, a little under double. Yeah, a little under double for, I think, 3 times much more property. And you're already getting $2,000 less to pay on your property taxes because of your slight upgrade. I'm not someone that enjoys the idea of upgrading. Oh yeah, I love my compact cars, but I'm not buying a pickup truck anytime soon, because you know what? It's a lot of space that I actually don't see myself using. And the extra cost to maintain it. Yeah, it's just something I don't see a need for. So, yeah, save money that way. You know, people tell me, hey, move closer to Milwaukee. Yeah, no, it's expensive there. And people tell me, well, move to Madison. People focus more about bike lanes, and your property taxes are even higher. In fact, on average, more than in Milwaukee. No, you won't catch me dead living in Madison. It's a pretty city. I love both cities. I love all cities. Totally a city Hoosk, but when it comes to living, I like my space. And city nightlife, it's good to visit, but to live there every day gets annoying. Having stayed many, many months, many years in Paris, city life is incredible, but it gets a bit to be too much. Sometimes you just like a little bit of peace and quiet. Yeah, I would rather be equidistant from these two cities, because you know what? Madison has good museums. So does Milwaukee. They have good venues, although Milwaukee has more of them. Milwaukee County's got more fairs than anywhere else in the whole state. If you say of any type of fair, yeah, Milwaukee County does have more fairs throughout the year than other parts of the state, including Madison combined. Actually, you might combine most of all Wisconsin and Madison and maybe Green Bay to even get close to the kind of stuff that Milwaukee does on a yearly basis. So, am I living in the sticks? I like civilization. Don't get me wrong. Would not want to live near a city. If my address happens to be Milwaukee or Madison, I'm buying a U-Haul truck and I'm moving the hell out, because no, my future is neither of those cities, and really, it's a status thing. It's totally a status thing. You're paying to live there. You're not paying for a good quality building, not for a good quality rented building or bought building. Milwaukee's got a lot of rundown houses. And last time I was in Madison, drove through the inner city, and shit, I don't remember seeing that many rundown houses in that city either. It's surprising. But then again, it's the college district, but still kind of make it look worse than Milwaukee in some places. And I wish I could embellish. But I don't want to live so far away where, safety-wise, hospitals, whatnot, should never be too far away from an emergency room, just in case. Not a bad idea. Good to think about that. But I would say Jefferson in Waukesha County is kind of my future. It's kind of where I'm actually looking for a house. So what is my ideal house? What am I actually looking at? Well, with what I'm able to afford, my credit score is amazing, so I can afford practically anything besides the moon. But yeah, I could afford anything I want. The thing is, I don't need a monster of a house. Don't need to. And don't want to. It's like my pickup truck reference. Yeah, I could, but I'll never use all the space. One of my old-time friends driving by through Heartland, which is a nice area, but it's one of the more expensive areas in my county, Waukesha County in Wisconsin. They have shacks. What I mean by a shack, I'm talking about 2,500 square foot and more. I'm talking about McMansions. You're talking about private warehouses. You're talking about 3, 4, maybe 5 bedroom houses with 2 full bathrooms and maybe half a bathroom somewhere. That's a lot of house. Unless I was going to be raising a fur house. But I'm a quite private person. I may only have one other roommate, or if I'm dating someone, that, and plus maybe another roommate. I guess it really depends, but I'm quite picky with who I'd want to live with, because I'm quite picky who I'd want to live with, actually. And having too many roommates is like having too many people in a hotel room for a FurCon. You gotta start hunting people for money, and you know what? Yeah, the rent's just pretty damn cheap, but you know what? Hey, if you don't pay, I would love to throw you out, but you'd have nowhere to go. And this is Wisconsin, and you'll frostbite your nuts just as fast as your fingers outside in January. I probably wouldn't do that. Your nose. Anyway. So my ideal house is like no less than 1,000 square foot, because you know what? 1,000 square foot is all the house you really could use, and you could get it for a lot cheaper too. So the smaller house you go, the cheaper you go, which to me is quite ideal. I like cheap, not cheap in quality, but I'd certainly like cheap in terms of listed price. You can always haggle. The beauty about finding a house is no one sells a house for exactly what they want. They always get a little bit lower. If you're trying to aim for $340,000, you might get $325,000. You may even get $335,000, but never at the amount that you're looking for, because you know what? You're going to take the closest offer you can get, and who's willing to buy the house as quickly as you can, because you just want to sell the damn thing. Me, I think the most I'd ever want to spend on a house is $160,000. It's a lot of money, but when you look at it in the long run, it's not so bad. I was looking at a house in New Berlin, not far from where I am right now. Similar size as my mom's. That's a ranch, 1 story, about 1,300 square feet, about 2-bedroom. Yeah, it's a 2-bedroom house, 1.5 bathroom, 2-car garage. Decent lot, but not as big as my mom's, but decent lot. I think it had a furnished basement and whatnot. House made in the mid-50s, so, typical 50s ranch, which they do look nice. $300,000, and because it's in the city of New Berlin, people think they struck gold, but in reality, it's just kind of a sales price. They're trying to get as much as they can out of it, although the house may be worth $250,000. But maybe 20 years ago, it may have been worth $140,000. It's really about where you live, and really, house is a better gamble than the stock market. You could make more money on a house in a lifetime, sell it, maybe then move to an apartment for your later years, than it is to gamble on the stock market and win big or lose big. With a house, you can't necessarily maybe lose big, but you can certainly gain it throughout the decades. It just takes time. And once you pay off the house and you get more value out of it, you're actually getting more money out in the end. So really, buying a house is kind of still an advantage. There's always going to be some disadvantage, but maintenance. I kind of expect what to see with maintenance, seeing, downstairs plumbing, roofing, foundation, all this other kind of stuff. I kind of expect that. That's the big downside. A house is like a classic car. It'll gain value in time, but you gotta put money in towards it because you just can't slack off on that. And yeah, they can go quite a long ways without some maintenance, but eventually they'll bite you back in the fucking ass, and you won't like it. Classic car will do the same thing, but it'll give you tetanus. So, $160,000. You can get 15-year loans, but that's insane. I'm qualified for a lot of loans, but I don't think 15-year loans is something any bank is going to give me. And so far, my bank loves and hates me with my car loan. So they love that, hey, I can give back their money quite quickly. So that's good for them, but they don't make as much money. But hey, it's not so bad. But a 30-year loan or 30-year mortgage is pretty typical. It's pretty standard. Most furries that actually end up owning a home right now, as of today, most of them have a 30-year mortgage. So you know what? If I ended up getting a 30-year, I'm doing actually just as good as many of them. So there we go. It's all about interest, but knowing my credit, I don't have to worry about the interest. I don't have to worry about that at all. Ooh, crunchy. So, what's my ideal house? Well, 1,000 as a minimum for square footage, because you know what? Yeah, it's what I need, but then it's getting to the point of it could be too small. But it's also nice because my max I'd probably go for a house is maybe 1,500 square foot, but even that's a bit too much. I might maybe do 1,200, like this house. Doesn't have to be too much. Maybe 1,300. That'd be a Goldilocks zone of, yeah, you have enough growing room, but you don't need to have enough to get you stuck into buying more stuff to fill up your house. Then you have a museum in about 30, 40, 50 years, and then you gotta sell stuff, and no one wants it. It's not that I want a barren house. Oh, certainly, I'm gonna fill it up with as much furry porn as normal fur houses I've been in, so, that's gonna happen, And it won't even be my own art. It'll be someone else's just because it's like, oh, I appreciate it. Do you have any of your own art? Well, I do, but that'd be weird. Looking at naked art of myself in the bathroom. So, square footage. So that's kind of where I'm looking for square footage. It's got to have a basement because you know what? One, basements are useful. You can use it for storage. You can use it as a furnished part of the house to make another entertainment area, recreation area. Hoosk room for all my Hoosk stuff. Because this room here actually used to be one continuous hall back in 97, and now partitioned into 3 rooms, which is kind of nice. My dad made a war room for his reenacting stuff, which eventually, when I get a house, I plan on doing the same damn thing, because you know what? I want all my shit to be in the same spot. Just makes things easier. that means people can find me easier swirling on stuff. So, yeah, in that case, if a house I end up finding does have a nice furnished basement, oh, perfect. Okay, that's fine. But if it doesn't come with a finished basement, I'm going to have so much fun with that because I'm not so much a carpenter, but you could learn some basic woodworking skills, and I already have. I just should do it in the way how carpenters normally do it, but that's not hard to learn. I'm going to be making a Hoosk room, and then probably a finished basement, because you know what? Hey, sometimes you have to... God damn it, I have another project. Just won the Skylark and everything else. I'm a Hoosk of projects. Finish the Skylark, then basement. Yeah. That sounds... Yeah, probably sounds like a better idea. Some people do finished attics, but then you got to put air conditioning in there, because if you plan on using an attic, it's cold in the winter, it's steaming hot in the summer, barely unusable unless it's in the fall and in the spring, and that's 2 parts of the year that are separated by 2 other summers that are kind of unbearable. So you probably have to put heat and cooling registers up there to make any of that functional. So, but yeah, square footage, that. So basement. Okay, so you have basement for storage stuff, potential expanded living space, and we're not Tornado Alley. But sure as hell, I am not hiding in a closet in the middle of my house as a tornado rips through it. Because you know what? Hey, if I had to go totally broke, I'd rather... Well, I'd be alive in the basement, but I'd still be broke as fuck. But hey, at least you're still 6 feet above ground and 6 feet under. So yeah, I would rather actually have a basement, because one volunteer firefighter had said, oh, well, yeah, well, basement, it just means we gotta dig out the corpses that way. And like, well, center part of your house, you hug your tub or your toilet, or you're in your basement, most people tend to come out unscathed out of their basement. In fact, a lot of home videos of people getting direct hits by tornadoes happen to be in their basement. So, I don't know. Basement seems like a very good option. That's a benefit right there. Better than being in a closet, which, yeah, it could offer you some protection, but I would never trust enough walls between me and the spinning fear tube of death, which I've come way too close to many of them and just storm chasing. And that's me putting my way in front of these stupid things. It's when they come to find me, that's when I want to hide, which I tend to run away when they get too close to me anyway, but when you're at home, there's no running away. You hide right where you are. Which also goes to another thing. When you move in, when you move out, which... If you move out of a house into many houses throughout a life, I don't know exactly what you're actually doing. If you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, or you're wasting more of your time and money. You're better off just moving out, pick a spot, settle. I think the better off you actually are. Because if you keep moving and moving and moving and moving, you may as well live in an RV. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, the idea of constant moving just does not reassure me of any... It doesn't assure me at all for anything that, hey, this is a constant thing. And I'm a person that likes constants. If I always have to keep guessing, I'm going to be pissed off all the time. But storms, you're living in the 2nd floor. And you look out your window and there's a fear tube right in the distance. Which is actually a story that my dad told me back in 1970. It was July 10th, 1970. There was an F1 tornado coming up. It was like Nagello Road in Wasaki. And he was up in Wasaki. And I think it was like 5 or 6 or 7 years old. Oh no, 72? Shit, I know exactly the path of the tornado. I know the relative location, just the date's a bit fuzzy, but at around 10 p.m. at night, it was in the summer, so you can still see the, you can still see the horizon, you can still see the dark shelf of cloud above the ground, and all you see is this classic fang-like tornado just kind of doing a dance in the distance at night. And he was in the second floor of this farmhouse, and was this an uncle or a cousin? Anyway, blasted through the door, got his kids and my dad up, says that they need to run down to the basement, which, running down 2 flights of stairs plus the flight of stairs down into the cellar is already 1 or 2 flights of stairs too many. But it is interesting when he says that when he looked out one of the windows on the first floor, he can see this, this kind of, I don't know. He says it was a kind of cat's eye, cat's pupil like shape of funnel, where it just kind of gave him chills to this day. Just eerie. And it's dark. The tornado funnel was blacker than the night sky behind it. It was more like a dark blue night sky, pitch black funnel on a pitch black bottom cloud shelf. That tornado went at least a good 50 yards from the farmhouse, made a left-hand turn, went between the house and the garage, shifted the garage off, not its foundation, but tilted it to this day where it's still tilted like that, which is nuts because they decided just like, oh, hey, the garage is still there, we may as well still use it. And you know what? It's like, yeah, second story. It's a lot of fiddling around because once you're scared that a tornado is coming your way, your legs are like jello. Knowing me, I'd probably jump the flight of stairs in one go, like I did in France, in my family's apartment building. I think like 12 or 14 stairs, and I would literally jump from one landing to another, and I don't know how I did not break an ankle doing that. Do I feel like jumping 18? No, at that point my ankle would probably shatter at that type of leap and that landing. Plus 2, if you live in a 2-story house and you gotta put stuff upstairs, your back's gonna hate you. Oh yeah, why don't you carry all the heavy things? How about no? How about a single story house? That way everything's on the same damn plane. It's easy in when you move in, it's easy out when you move out. Yeah, so single floor. Because you know what? Screw stairs. Unless it's 1 flight of stairs. Then you're going downstairs on 1 flight of stairs. If you're going upstairs in the attic, you're going through 1 flight of stairs. Spinning fear death tube, you just got to go down 1 flight of stairs and just hope it's not on the other side of the house. Which, in this house, when I used to live upstairs, was on the other side of the house. Before 1950, where this house is actually sitting in right now is the intersection of 2 ancient tornado tracks before 1950 in Waukesha County. And this is before they started recording tornadoes officially in the United States in 1950. And apparently there were 2 tracks that literally intersected right here at different points, which is cool. And in the 60s, there's one tornado that flew over. Then in the 90s, I saw 2 hovering over the house. Looked like a spinning butthole. Don't ask me why I made that kind of description, because that's what a tornado looks like from directly underneath. It's a spinning butthole. Or a pigtail. Really, it's kind of like a cup of mochaccino. When you're looking at the cup, it's kind of like that, except, spinning. And you really can't actually see the cone. It's just literally there. It's terrifying, I gotta tell you. It's nuts when you look directly into a mesocyclone. It's like, oh, fuck, there it is. And it didn't do anything. And the idiot remains, because I still storm chase, and you know what? I get too close, and it's like, oh, fuck, and then I run away. That should be another video topic. Storm chasing. Maybe another time. So, alright, size, type of house, single story, okay. Garage, alright. 2-car minimum, 3-car maximum. Or my dad, which, this house is pretty nice. He got a good deal on his house. But he got a 6-car garage, which is kind of where I have my Skylark at, because you know what? There's not enough room here to really have that car unless it stays outside. And fuck having a 60s car that you painfully been restoring for the last 20 years, and then park it outside for it to rust again. Talk about a thumb in the eye. You can't get anywhere because you decide to push yourself back a bit. But yeah, he got himself a 6-car garage out of the deal, and holy moly, am I jealous. Oh my god, it's so perfect. But yeah, 2-car garage, 3-car garage, because you know what? If you buy a house and you get a no-car garage, like just no garage at all, or a 1-car garage, you got screwed. Like, you would, I don't know if I want to buy a house without any garage. There's or I'm gonna haggle the guy with this house so badly. It would be only worth what he would be offering with a garage. Because a garage is at least like a Menards. You build it, it's about 10, 11 grand. Yeah, if someone else make you a garage, that's about maybe 15, maybe 20 grand. If it's done incredibly, incredibly well, yeah, you're looking at 20 grand. So you could effectively chop off 20 grand off the sales price of whoever's asking for a house. If you go look for a house, doesn't have a garage, automatically deduct 20 grand and say, hey, no garage, this much. Unless you had a garage, which, But because, you live in Wisconsin, and I've lived here all my life. Yeah, I've had my car parked out in the snow outside for a long while, and so I know how that feels. However, you get old of it incredibly fast. The bullshit of having to go outside, clean off your car when it snows, it's a lot of bullshit. I'd rather have a car parked inside a garage, get your snowblower, plow your driveway, and you just pull your car out and you're out the door. Yeah, you woke up 2-3 hours earlier than you wanted, but you know what? Hey, your driveway's done. You can still get to work on time. if you have your car outside, you gotta clean your car off, but then now you got to plow around your car. See, it's not that fun. I've done it at least 6 years before I got a spot in the garage. So you know what? Once you've got a spot in the garage, you really don't want to look for anything else. I will tell you that, because a garage is just awesome. Your car will last longer too in a garage. So yeah, just makes more sense. Plus two, Hoosk Machine Shop. Because you know what? Hoosk Machine Shop. Let's see. So, okay, so bedrooms. What am I looking at? Bedrooms. Well, 2 minimum, 3 maximum. Because for that kind of size of house, you probably wouldn't get more than 3 anyway. Be rare, but wouldn't get more than 3. But you wouldn't get less than 2. So if you're buying a 1-bedroom house, shit, that's like 800 square feet. That's an American system-built home. No, American home. No, American system-built home. Which are my favorite types of homes, actually. If I had about $160,000, and if I bought land, had the money, or get the money, I could get the loan for the money. Actually, it's probably be easier, but shit, it's actually, to be honest, cheaper to be building your own house when you buy the plot of land than to be buying a house these days. That's stupid and fun at the same time to think about. Shit, we've been doing this wrong this whole time. But I'd probably build a American system-built home B1 model. Yeah, it's 843 square foot, not cubic inch. Jesus Christ. That's a really small cardboard box. Or is it? Because I like Frank Lloyd Wright's work. Total fan of his style. However, there's only really one type of building style that he's ever done that's really resonated with me, and I just like kind of the simplistic nature of these houses, American system-built homes. And he only made them between 1915 to 1920, 22. It's a type of style that he didn't do for very long, but he did make hundreds of them. And Milwaukee is the only place in the whole world where he's got 5 or 6 buildings that are all American system-built homes, all on one side of the street. His only housing project he's ever done. And it's in Milwaukee. As it should. Because Milwaukee, it's a very pretty area. I would probably have one of those houses built just because they're so nice. Would I get copyright infringement for a house? Who owns the designs for that? The Richards company. I don't know. Actually more a gearhead, not so much a house person, but I just like talking about ideal house. So, got garage. What else do I want? Well, okay, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. I've been in a house where there's only 1 bathroom. Actually, I've been in many houses, actually, that have only had 1 bathroom, and no, not fun. No. You're better off having a house with at least 2 bathrooms. Just because. When one's in use, you use the other. There we go. someone takes a shower, you really can't get in. Oops, what do you do? So, yeah, you're better off having 2 bathrooms. It's better to have 2 than just 1, but then again, if you know that a bathroom has never been used for years, and if it's an older house with probably cast iron piping, the piping's probably collapsed, probably washed away, now it's got gravel and just an irregular hole. Then there's 10 grand of putting in PVC pipe in your cement slab, and now you're got absolutely fantastic foundation plumbing, but if you rarely ever use it, is it actually well worth? Yeah, it may not be worth. I guess it really depends on how much you use the house, who lives there, I guess. Often enough, if it's got a bathroom basement that you'll never ever actually ever use, maybe it's just best not to really use that at all. Yeah, ideal Hoosk house. Backyard, I would say an ordinary plot. Doesn't have to be that big, really, because you know what? Yeah, there's bonfire meats, but I might already be regulating that to an actual venue, big enough land, or big enough plot of land that I can do that on, and kind of already have. So don't really need a lot of space in the backyard. Yeah, some backyard space, but oh, you can tell that I'm doing this at night. At least this video at night. Actually, they're all done at night. Well, not really, no. So yeah, ideal Hoosk house. So if I split 160,000 for 30 years, don't take my word for it. I'm just kind of doing mental math. That's about anywhere from $300 to $500 a month. A studio apartment in Milwaukee is about $900, maybe $1,000. There is a 2-bedroom apartment that's really not that big, not far from me. That's about $1,000 a month. Whereas if I bought myself a house, and also to that $1,000 a month for the rent, not including some utilities, you're still looking at cable, you're still looking at electricity. I forget which other amenity that is not being that is up to you to pay. So I guess in that case, you may be looking at maybe $1,100 to $1,200 a month, which is absurd. Whereas $400 or $500 a month plus maybe $150 in utilities, maybe even $200, let's say $200 max, you're still paying less a month to buy a house than it is to actually rent an apartment. Yeah, you can split it with people. You can do that too with a house, and you're still paying less. Spend 30 years in an apartment, you're still spending less in a house. Really, I can't see any benefit to live in an apartment. Besides, you're lazy, you really do not want to maintain anything. You literally have the landlord do everything for you. Then that's one thing. I'm sometimes a lazy bastard, but not always, so I like to do my own thing. Whereas an apartment, you really can't change a light. Well, you can change a light bulb without the landowner knowing, but if you wanted to paint the color of your room, you kind of have to let them know. Kind of pisses them off if you redo part of a unit, which they didn't have any authorization for you to do. Yeah, I just don't see how renting is my future, because you know what? You really can't rent to own in this country. You just rent. If you're going to own something, you're going to put a mortgage down on it. Just as simple as that. Renting is great. Renting is great for those that really feel like they have the need to keep moving from place to place to place, city to city to city to city. 1 year lease here, 2 year leases here, maybe 4 lease year here, just to keep yourself steady until you just keep moving to the next place. Yeah, that's great, but you're going through the same steps of you're moving all the damn time. You're just better off living in an RV. Because you're actually wasting money on your move. Your rent money is technically a waste anyway. You're not really doing yourself much a good favor eventually, because it's going to hit you back. Whereas if you stay 30 years in a house, 30 years is up. You don't have to pay a cent on what you owe on the house. Once you pay off the house is yours. You get the deed. It is yours. The only thing you still have to pay is the property taxes and utilities, which in the countryside, maybe perhaps $3,500 at the most with some places. The closer you get to a city, the more higher you're paying a property tax, because you know what? That's all based on property value, and the city is going to skyrocket that up as high as they can, because they want to make sure they can get every dollar out from you, because you know what? Hey, why not? Which, yeah, bought a house for $144,000, and now it's 240,000 by the city of blah 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 blah. Is your house worth that much? I don't know, but the city thinks it is, so they're going to give you they're going to tell you how much you're going to be paying in property taxes based on what they think your property's worth, and they're always going to jack up the value. Makes you feel good until you realize, oh, you got to pay that property tax up to what they think it is. So you may as well live in an area that they're still going to do that, but they're not going to do it so bad. It's still going to be okay. Milwaukee County is bad. I can't imagine Dane County being any easy. That's why it may just be easier to avoid the whole of Dane County, like I would probably avoid the whole of Milwaukee County. It doesn't seem to really go. It's not something that's going to help me in the long term, because really it's the idea of saving a bit of your money. Money is a evil necessity, a necessary evil. What the hell am I saying? You may as well save a little bit of money along the way, but not totally. You don't want to buy something too expensive, but of course, you could buy something cheap, but is it going to be enough for what you need? Don't shoot too low, but don't shoot too high, but live within your means, and you're going to be fine. With a house, you can certainly do that. It all depends on where you live, which I know a lot of people that at least drive 40, 50 minutes to where they need to work. Hey, if it helps them from not selling their house that they're almost paying off, which they bought the house cheaper than what local houses are being sold today. Yeah, they could sell it for much more, but that's not a guarantee. Yeah, I can see why people travel a lot to get to work. Because sometimes you're better off staying in one place, but moving where you work. Literally picking and choosing where you want to work. But at the end of the day, you're always going home in the same location. Because, the more and more you chip away at a mortgage, that's less house you ever have to pay. And I don't know. To me, moving across the country, like companies that say, "Oh, we'll pay you," I don't know. Unless you're getting paid double. I don't know if moving across the country is, well, worth it, because if you're a home buyer now and you were to move to Colorado and now you gotta look for a house in Colorado, you're thousands of miles away from home. No, you'd be hundreds of miles away from home, so you're in a location that you don't really know. Now, very few people, if not none. And now you get a new house mortgage that you got to pay off in a state that you barely know, in a location that you barely know, to a company that just say, "Hey, we're going to hire you," but it's always too good to be true. Which is why I see a lot of people stay in the same fucking house for 20 years and have a few changing careers in the area. There are very, very few desperate people that would move halfway across the country when they're almost about to pay off their house, and then they kind of screw themselves up because now they gotta work longer. Do you enjoy working longer? I wouldn't. It's not something I'd really want to think about, but... So that's my own ramble about Hoosk House, because I don't see renting being a good viable option, especially with pandemic. We're going to see how ugly the renting business is. It's going to happen. Renting is incredibly volatile right now. Pay your monthly rents way in advance before it's due. Show that your landlord that you're a good renter. Because 2021, heads are going to roll, and it's not going to be fun for renters. Who knows? Maybe these next 2 years are actually going to show people. Perhaps renting is not the way to go. Because you don't go anywhere with renting. It's great for the few benefits that you get with renting. Yeah, it's fantastic. If you really enjoy these small benefits of not doing any of the maintenance, it's all self-contained. Some units even may have underground parking garages. Okay, you have a place to park your car. That's a nice luxury. In fact, people pay for that luxury, which is part of your rent. You're getting cheated if you actually have to pay monthly for a parking spot. So, yeah. I don't know. I can't see any better alternative than buying a house. Because it's something you get to eventually own. And again, as I mentioned before, it is going to be better than putting your money in the stock market. Even if your house value does drop a bit, a house is still going to go up in value a little bit. So I see it a more brighter future than anything else, and I'm more excited about that than anything else I've ever been. And I thought, ooh, buying a car, that'd be great, that'd be swell. House? I am reaching critical DaHusky levels. That would be nice. That would be very, very nice. Swell. Anyway, thanks for listening to my long ramble about things about houses. Silly, interesting things about houses. Silly, dumb, interesting things about houses. And my general plan about what I hope to do in a few years, because eventually, I want to move out. I would love to be a homeowner, and if I'm not mistaken, it's still probably out there, Wisconsin offers a first-time home buyer's grant. There's one for Milwaukee who was 18, bought a house. He, of course, qualified because 18, never bought a house before. Set up for the grant, which I gotta look for. It's been a while since I've talked to him. He got about $7,000 free money because you know what? The state of Wisconsin, more and more people are going to renting than buying, which means the state of Wisconsin has to make sure thousands of homes, which aren't being bought anymore, are making sure they're not burning liabilities. So these houses have to be maintained, which costs the state some money, which means they're paying someone to make sure these houses aren't on fire. And they're going to try to find a way to have people buy these houses so they can get them off of their chest. So, with not that many people buying houses and more people renting, and more people are planning to rent in the future, which is all that I see is more apartments being built, but not enough homes. Yeah, actually, you know what? This is looking pretty damn good. If I can find where this grant can be found, I am doing pretty fantastic. And as with this grant, because there's so few people buying a home in the state of Wisconsin, anywhere across the state, they're giving you money just to buy a house for the first time. There is no easy opportunity than in the state of Wisconsin that you could probably buy a house by just qualifying. You might get some money. You might get $2,000-3,000 if you highly qualify. And I don't know how, but you could get $7,000 or more. I guess it really depends on a lot, which I really don't know. But if an 18-year-old can live in the second most expensive county, or first, I don't know which anymore. If you can live in the most expensive part in Wisconsin, that at least isn't Merton or Heartland or Brookfield, or Wauwatosa. Oh yeah, there could be worse places to live in as far as cost-wise, where you'll never be able to afford this house because you'll never be able to afford this house. Yeah, there's one for just found a house, got a grant, got a mortgage, seems to be doing just fine. And I don't even know what he does for a living, but at 18, I really doubt you're a rocket scientist making $100,000 a year. So, you know what? If he was able to actually get that at such a young age, by the time I'm 30, I hope to be doing a lot better than I am now. And still get by. So, anyway, this is Dustin DaHusky. Appreciate you listening to my talk about the ideal Hoosk house of swirls. Every room has a nesting pad for swirls to do a good swirl. So, we'll catch you guys next time. Take care, guys. See ya.